Welcome to the Archaeology and Metal Detecting Magazine Weekly Newscast.
Good evening all, I'm Dave Sadler with your updates on all things archaeological and metal detecting in the news. First up this week, I'd like to firstly apologise for last week's missing the show. Had a bit of an unwell thing going on, but back with it now and healthy and, well, I'd say wise, but I'm not, so there you go. Anyway, straight into the news tonight. Cresswell crags, witches' marks found in the cave network. Now, Cresswell crags is a series of caves in Nottinghamshire. Very old, used for many things. Lots of tours go on there and such like. And hundreds of witch marks believed to be from the 17th and 18th century have been found in the limestone gorge. They were discovered and believed to be the biggest concentration of protective marks found in British caves. The apotropaic marks were scribed into cave surface as they were thought to keep evil spirits coming from the underworld. Originally thought to be graffiti, they have now been reclassified. The discovery was made from Haley Clark and Ed Waters from Subterranea Britannica, a charity whose members have a passion for underground space during a cave tour. Now, if you are interested in the Subterranea in the UK, have a look on Google for Subterranea Britannica. I've been following them for a number of years, and as well as making numerous discoveries, they go on trips to underground caving systems, tunnels, nuclear shelters, etc., etc., and really are very, very interesting. Anyway, before the marks had always been noticed, but dismissed as graffiti from before the caves were barred. Alison Fern of Leicester University, who studied a PhD on protective marks, said, "I cannot emphasise how important this corpus of apotropaea is to graffiti research. I think off the top of my head it's the largest number of examples found anywhere and in the context of UK." Now, as I said, you can go and visit the Cresswell Crags, and I'm sure you will be able to go inside and maybe look at these marks during a tour. So if you have a Google for Cresswell Crags witch marks, you'll be able to see the article in full. Next up in the news, we were very lucky at the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine to break a story over the last couple of weeks regarding a group called KC Rallies. And the story was about a metal detecting group finding 17th century coins worth £5,000 allegedly in the Malvern Field. So I'll take you to the original article that was published by ourselves at the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine. Incredible find was made, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, by the group owned by detectorist Keith Campbell, who runs regular metal detecting rallies. Originally, at the very, very start of this, we shared video footage of the coins as they were actually coming out of the ground. A gentleman called Gary Williams made the incredible discovery, and he unearthed 51 William III silver shillings and sixpences, dating back to 1697. Keith said it was exciting when the coins were found. They were only about 4 to 6 inches deep. Whoever buried them was probably in a hurry. It's incredible to find a hoard of this size. The value of the hoard is yet to be determined, and the correct processes are to be followed, with the coroner's court now deciding what to do with the coins in line with the Treasure Act 1996. William III reigned from 1689 to 8th of March 1702 and was widely known as William of Orange. We'd like to obviously congratulate the finder, Gary and Keith, for sourcing such fantastic land. Keep it up, and we can't wait to see what happens with KC Rallies next. If you are interested in KC Rallies, they do have a Facebook group, or if you can find this article on the www.archmdmag.com, and you'll be able to learn more about the find, see the images, and obviously find a link to the KC Rallies Facebook group. So congratulations to all involved. Stonehenge archaeologists discover long-lost tools used to build ancient monuments. The long-lost prehistoric tools employed to quarry the original standing stones used in the construction of the earliest stone-built phase of Stonehenge. I think we more or less know now that the quarry is in Wales, where the stones came from, and it's yielded up to now 15 sandstone wedges used to break off large numbers of natural stone columns from the quarry's bedrock. They've also discovered V-shaped slots in 2 columns that may have been earmarked for use but never removed. Again, you can see these images if you Google them. Obviously, we can't show your images via audio, unfortunately. Maybe in the future. The archaeologists that conducted this search were led by Professor Mike Parker Pearson of the University College London Institute of Archaeology, and he's said to have found a number of hammerstones potentially used to hammer the wedges in. So obviously you all know about Stonehenge. It's probably the most well-known archaeological site in the UK. Thousands of people come over every year and visit the site on Salisbury Plain, quite a distance from the site where the original stones were manufactured before being brought over anyway. So go have a look at these Stone Age tools anyway. Interestingly, on this week's All Metal Mode UK podcast, we had a guest called Steve Tomlinson, who we were discussing his finds of a medieval shoe and a Roman pot in the banks of the River Thames while mudlarking. It was a very, very interesting discussion, which you can find on if you search for All Metal Mode UK podcast, you'll be taken to the Spreaker website, and you'll be able to listen or download to that discussion, telling you all about the ifs, whens, why nots of mudlarking on the River Thames. Anyway, on the back of that, more or less on the same day, there was an article released by BBC News regarding a Neolithic skull that had been found by Thames mudlarkers. The frontal bone of this skull was radiocarbon dated to 3600 BC, so it's quite a major archaeological find for mudlarkers. That's obviously around 5,600 years old, and it dates to a time before there was any permanent settlement on the site we now know as London. Investigations indicate it belonged to a male over the age of 18. There are older Neolithic remains that have been recovered in the region, but what makes this specimen especially interesting is that it's the earliest ever skull found by mudlarkers. Mudlarkers, basically people who go down to the banks of the River Thames, which they are mainly known about, but obviously all the rivers around the UK, and search the sediments and the edges of the rivers for any potential archaeological finds, be them, I can think of many different, whatever you can think of in the past has probably been found by somebody mudlarking in the UK. You haven't heard of them before. They're the band of mostly amateur archaeologists who scour the Thames edges at low tide for objects of intrigue and antiquity, and are constantly picking up fascinating items, many of which end up in the Museum of London, which this particular frontal bone will be displayed from next Wednesday. As I said, we did speak to Steve at length. Unfortunately, or fortunately in most respects, I or you or other people probably couldn't go down to the banks of the River Thames in the main area of London and just join in mudlarking. It is you do require a license to participate. Unfortunately, it is a criminal offence to actually go down onto the River Thames and look for anything else of consequence that you would like to. If you do see people down on the River Thames banks, it's in the city of London, it's probably because they are licensed. Something fantastic which I personally would like to participate in, but I'll probably end up having a look at the the River Dane in Congleton, or the River Dee in Chester instead. Henry VIII's blockhouse dig is to resume in Hull. A new dig has been planned to uncover the remains of the 16th century blockhouse, commissioned by Henry VIII as part of the city of Hull's defences. The excavation, starting on the 25th of February, is to concentrate on the north end of the South Blockhouse, a scheduled monument. The site at the confluence of the River Hull and Humber estuary is to be dug by Humber Field Archaeology. Ken Steedman of the group said, "We want to dig down to the foundations. The defences were demolished in 1864, but not completely destroyed." Mr. Steedman said that the work would be interesting and exciting, and hoping to expose 2 gun ports as well as uncovering the foundations. Again, you can pop onto the internet, look at that, and there's on the bbc.co.uk news, where I'm currently looking at the article. They've got architects' plans from the 1500s. They have information about the blockhouses, the outline of the area that Humber Field Archaeology will be investigating, and some images of the structure, which was partially excavated in 1997 when some guns were uncovered, big cannons. So pop over to the BBC website and have a look for Henry VIII's blockhouse dig. Very intriguing, and I look forward to seeing more about that. Now, the next story is interesting. My colleague at the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine, Luke Higgins, lives down in Surrey or Sussex, one of the two. Anyway, he did receive a call several months ago telling him about some potential coffins that had been found locally. Unfortunately, Luke wasn't able to get along to the site, but had been obviously following the story himself via local media and word of mouth. And it turns out that there are actually 2 decorated Roman lead coffins that had been uncovered during recent work at a quarry in Surrey. Only a few hundred burials involving such caskets are known from the whole of Britain, with their latest example discovered by Wessex Archaeology during work on behalf of Sibelco, a raw materials company. The story progresses, but in short, I'm just amazed by the coffins, the image of the coffin. The 2 lead coffins, they've dug around them, they've excavated them, and they appear full 6 foot long. They've got the pole next to them, the archaeological pole, for scale purposes, and it's absolutely stunning to me personally. Some people might just yeah, but honestly it does look nice. So have a look yourself for Roman lead coffins recovered in Surrey. That's me for this evening. I'm Dave Sadler from the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine news. I just want to give a big shout out to Find a Field Metal Detecting Club. They're a Facebook group who organise rallies in the Midlands and northwest of the UK, Nottinghamshire, Leicestershire, Staffordshire, maybe into Cheshire I think as well. I've popped out with them today in Staffordshire. I had a great day. I've walked the site of a Roman road, which I actually work not far away, and there is a Roman encampment that's not over the road from where I work, and this road obviously goes north from the site and over the hill line. It was used, we think, to drove cattle by Romans in the early part of the years 19. When am I? Lost me dates then. From the Roman period in the UK is what I meant to say. I do apologise. I'm getting very tired because I've been out walking around fields and up bloody hills all day. So yes, it was a fantastic day. There was a lot of finds up. I've witnessed some Roman coins. It's been an all weekend, and I know there's Roman coins found there yesterday. I've also seen a fantastic hammered coin from the 1580s, big hammered coin, found by a gentleman who's only actually been metal detecting for 3 weeks. In that 3 weeks, his first time out he found silver, his second time out he found gold, and today he's found hammered. So quite a collection for that young man, so well done to him. But overall, the events are very, very well run. Kudos to Find a Field, and I'll hopefully be going on more digs with them in the future. So have a look at them on Facebook, have a join up, and again, thank you to them. So I'm Dave Sadler from the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine. Please visit our website. Please consider joining our social media page on Facebook or on Twitter, and you can follow all the latest news from the world of archaeology, metal detecting, history, and much, much more. Good night.
The Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine acts as a hub for information, offering articles from archaeologists, detectorists and other specialists throughout the genre, featuring many links, event info and news articles associated to archaeology and metal detecting. We also offer professional review services and promotion for books, resources, videos, documentaries, gadgets, equipment and much, much more. The magazine is run by the archaeological and metal detecting community for the archaeological and metal detecting community. So come visit us at archmdmag.com, that's archmdmag.com, and check out information from our media section with all the latest content, news from the Archaeology channel, podcasts and the YouTube channels that feature the now legendary Digger Dawn, the Man with the Hat and Archeo Duck, just to name a few. If you would like to offer an article, link or inquire about other services, then pay us a visit at archmdmag.com and drop us a line.